Chapter 1: The Illusion of Modern Citizenship. To the ordinary citizen, a passport is a symbol of identity, a sacred contract with a motherland, and a modern nation-state is perceived as a permanent protector. We are conditioned from birth to believe that our geographical origin defines our legal boundaries, our social duties, and our financial destination. However, to the world's absolute financial elite, traditional citizenship is no longer a moral duty, an emotional anchor, or a lifetime contract. It is merely a fluid, highly vulnerable business asset that can be actively managed, minimized, or completely discarded when it no longer serves a profitable purpose. While the masses live under the constant, suffocating surveillance of central banking grids, aggressive domestic tax nets, and capital control laws, the top 0.1% view modern nations not as homelands, but as competing service providers. In an era where a centralized government can freeze digital assets, seize real estate, or restrict physical movement with a single keystroke, total reliance on one nation is the ultimate macroeconomic risk. Therefore, the global elite are quietly engineering a complete disappearance from the traditional grid. They recognize that the modern state is shifting from a protector into a predator, driven by systemic debts and hyperinflation. To counter this, the ultra-wealthy are transitioning from national citizens to sovereign individuals, leveraging their massive capital to build an untraceable existence that completely bypasses the traditional boundaries of global governance. The illusion of citizenship is maintained to keep the global workforce anchored, taxable, and compliant. But as the friction between failing fiat currencies and sovereign wealth intensifies, the elite have realized that geography is destiny only for those who cannot afford to leave it behind. They look at the global economic landscape through a prism of cold utility. If a jurisdiction becomes too restrictive, if tax rates climb too high, or if geopolitical volatility threatens their lineage, the solution is not political compliance or democratic participation. The solution is immediate, structural evasion. They are systematically dismantling the idea that a human being must belong to a single flag. By treating national borders as temporary lines in the sand, they have unlocked a level of financial and physical mobility that was previously unimaginable. This is the foundation of the Shadow Empire, a quiet revolution where wealth no longer negotiates with political power, but completely insulates itself from it. Chapter 2: The Citizenship Market and Sovereign Mobility. This systematic erasure from the global grid begins with the highly lucrative secret market for sovereignty. Through elite, state-sanctioned programs, known as citizenship by investment, billionaires are aggressively purchasing alternative nationalities, diplomatic immunities, and strategic passports from sovereign island nations in the Caribbean and exclusive European enclaves. They are not buying luxury vacation destinations or collecting colorful booklets. They are purchasing legal escape routes and geopolitical insurance policies. By strategically spreading their legal identities, corporate registrations, and banking hubs across multiple independent jurisdictions, these individuals completely dismantle the legal monopoly that any single government holds over their lives and their generational wealth. If an economic crisis, a sudden bank freeze, or a predatory tax law emerges in one hemisphere, their capital, their legal structures, and their physical presence instantly migrate to another, leaving absolutely no trace behind for domestic regulators to follow. They become legal ghosts within the global surveillance system, loyal absolutely to no flag, but entirely to their own capital. This borderless mobility transforms the elite into a class of global nomads who possess all the privileges of national protection without any of the civic or financial liabilities. They shop for laws the way ordinary people shop for consumer goods, picking and choosing which legal systems to obey, based entirely on which jurisdiction offers the highest degree of asset protection. Through this method, the 0.1% have effectively weaponized competition between nations, forcing smaller states to lower their regulatory barriers and create tax havens just to attract billionaire capital. thereby accelerating the erosion of traditional state authority. Chapter 3: The Untraceable Assets and Handheld Wealth. But erasing one's physical and legal identity is entirely meaningless if one's generational wealth remains trapped within the interconnected global banking matrix. Digital wealth is vulnerable wealth. A number on a screen can be deleted, tracked, or audited by global tax networks like FATCA and CRS at any moment. This is precisely why the top 0.1% are aggressively rotating their liquid capital out of transparent digital banking screens and into hyper-dense physical alternative assets. Multi-million-dollar mechanical timepieces, ultra-rare historical artifacts, and blue-chip masterworks stored in duty-free private freeports across Geneva, Luxembourg, and Delaware serve a much deeper macroeconomic purpose than mere aesthetic appreciation. These ultra-exclusive masterpieces and intricate tourbillon timepieces operate as the ultimate physical bearer bonds. They hold immense, concentrated millions of dollars in value within a highly compact form that can cross international borders, completely undetected by government scanners, public asset registries, or digital financial audits. In a rapidly shifting monetary landscape, where central banks can print trillions out of thin air, and corporate bank accounts can be weaponized instantly, owning an asset that exists entirely outside the digital fiat ledger means possessing total, borderless liquidity. A billionaire can carry $20 million of generational wealth on their wrist, or inside a single climate-controlled crate, completely insulated from hyperinflation, state confiscation, and global banking crises, establishing an unbreakable financial sanctuary in plain sight. Chapter 4: The Architecture of Private Force. The ultimate and most dangerous stage of sovereign erasure is the systematic privatization of physical protection and tactical defense. True security for the global elite is no longer about living behind the high concrete walls or security gates of an exclusive suburban community. It is about establishing an absolute private monopoly of force. As public institutions fracture, social unrest intensifies, and municipal police forces become increasingly unreliable and compromised, global dynasties are quietly abandoning their reliance on state law enforcement networks. Instead, they are directly funding massive private military corporations, hiring elite Tier 1 special forces, veterans, and constructing highly fortified, subterranean sanctuaries, entirely detached from national state command networks. These sovereign compounds, equipped with military-grade tactical intelligence, autonomous drone perimeters, and independent private energy grids, exist as the modern equivalent of medieval feudal fortresses. They are strategically designed to ensure that, even in the absolute event of a catastrophic geopolitical collapse, severe economic reset, or extreme civil warfare, the elite's physical sovereignty remains completely absolute, untouchable, and insulated from the surrounding chaos. They do not look to the state for survival, because they have built their own private micro-states, capable of projecting defensive force and maintaining order within their own borders, completely independent of the collapsing public infrastructure around them. Chapter 5: The Ultimate Feudal Future. What we are currently witnessing is not merely the eccentric lifestyle or the extravagant consumption of the ultra-rich. It is the quiet, permanent fracturing of the modern nation-state system as we know it, by completely decoupling themselves from national currencies, national laws, national militaries, and national borders. The global elite are constructing a shadow empire that operates completely parallel to the rest of the world. They inhabit a borderless, sovereign network of high-tech freeports, private islands, and fortified sanctuaries, while the vast majority of humanity remains locked inside heavily regulated, highly taxed, and hyper-surveilled national borders, suffering the consequences of systemic inflation and political decay. This deep architectural divergence is creating a two-tiered humanity, a global class of sovereign masters who own the infrastructure of escape, and a stationary class of citizens who bear the financial burdens of the state. Is this total systemic erasure the pinnacle of human financial intelligence, individual liberty, and economic survival, or is it a dangerous, irreversible descent into a high-tech feudal future, where wealth no longer just buys influence, but buys its own absolute sovereign law? The answer to this profound question will inevitably define the next century of global power, human rights, and the very survival of civilization. Tell us your philosophy in the comments below. Thank you for watching this deep investigation. Subscribe to future Prism Lab for the deeper, hidden mechanics of global wealth and elite architecture.